Mine's on vibrate. Mine's on vibrate.
It's in the bench.
It's Windows. When it's not on screensaver, mom and dad pop up with the dog with the Bridget. Well, they look very distinguished. Well, they're going to see it. Doesn't matter. No, my father looks like me.
Well, no.
Hard to divorce myself. Yeah. Get in about March.
You're gonna bike right out there.
Okay. And if they don't, you guys are off to did a cost
Anthony? Nice to see you.
So what is your one this year?
I got it first in the car, and then I get the great respect. The other, now it's under all the other condos, including the commercial condos. Yeah, it does. Particularly the condos, it's these Green Drive, Park Hall.
Well, yeah, we're gonna try and get it in the bowling. That's what. Yeah.
It was.
We'll call this meeting to order. I ask that you all rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice Before we begin, what I'd like to do is ask for a moment of silence in memory of Frank Romeo. Frank was a special police officer here in North Reading. His wife Pat serves on CPC, and his son is in the North Reading Police Department. He has another son who is in the Los Angeles Police Department, and they have a daughter as well. So I ask for a moment of silence in memory of Frank Romeo. Thank you. The one item on the agenda this evening is the tax rate setting and tax classification. And we will be hearing from the assessors and from Mr. Dow, and the board will be taking several votes in order to determine whether or not we will have tax classification, aka a single rate or a dual rate, and then several other motions for the levy limit and exemptions for commercial and residential. So with that, actually, I'll turn it over to Mr. Dow and Mr. Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we get started, one correction, it's not FY 2002, it's FY 2003.
Oh, good, because I didn't want to relive the last one. Not sure I want to live the next one either. Oh, can I take that back? I'll relive the last one.
Welcome, Sally.
What we're here tonight for is, as you said, Mr. Chairman, is for the board to make a decision on tax classification, whether to shift more of the tax levy burden to the commercial and industrial properties. That's number one. Number two is the residential exemption, which shifts the tax burden within residential properties. And then the third one is the small commercial business exemption, which does the same thing within certain limited number of commercial properties. What we're talking about tonight is funding the FY03 budget, which was voted in April and October. It's the budget that we are, some 5 months into, almost into the 6th month. I guess my only comment about that is, unfortunately, that's the way the budget process works in this state, is you fund your budget after you voted it, and figure out where you're going to get the money from.
Did you went over first slide?
Did I?
Well, you skipped over to it.
Yes, I did.
Nice try, Jim. Thanks,
I was told to make it short. The first page of your handout has 10 years of information regarding the levy limit calculation. This particular slide only has 4 years, so that people at home maybe can read it. You'll note that, except for the years of 94, 95, and 98, the town of North Reading had always been at the maximum levy, or practically at the maximum levy. The top part of the slide shows how it's calculated. You have your previous year's levy, the 2.5% increase, the new growth, and then you come down to the overrides. And then you take the valuation, divided by 1,000, by what you want to raise, and you end up with the tax rate. This year's discussion, the tax rate, the single tax rate comes out at $12.09. So that's kind of the jumping off spot from where we are for any variances that you might want to shift it. This slide shows you, or compares last year's valuation, tax levy, and the share between residential and commercial and industrial, FY02 to FY03. In FY03, I think one of the important things is to point out that the residential share picks up almost 0.25% more of the levy burden than it did last year. And that's really just a sign that the residential valuation in town is increasing at a greater rate than the commercial and industrial. The total valuation for the town increased $124 billion over the year. That's a significant increase. In the middle piece of part of your handout, which doesn't appear on the slide, shows you the various components of the tax rate. You know, the base tax rate would be 11.27, then you add in the 2.5% growth, 28 cents. The new growth of 27 cents, and the overrides of 27 cents, and that yields $12.09. And then the dollar amounts for each of those components is shown all of that. And then you have a pie chart that shows the distribution of where the levy is. The next page of your handout gives you the impact of the tax rate on the various classes. If you stay at a single tax rate, residential property picks up 85.40% of the tax burden. At a 10% shift, it picks up 83.94%. At 1.15% or 15% shift, it's 83.21%. At a 25% shift, it's 81.75%. And although the statute allows us to go to 175%, in North Reading's case, we can only go to 150%, or a 50% shift. In that case, the residential properties would pick up 78.10%. If you look further down on the handout, you see what that means in dollars. At a 10% shift, the tax rate for residential property would decrease to $11.88, and for commercial and industrial property, it would increase to $13.30. And you can follow that all the way out to the 50% increase, where the residential would decrease to $11.06, and commercial industrial would increase to $18.13. On the next page, and I'm not going to go through all of those, because it's just too many numbers, but it shows you what, in real dollars, what it means to various properties at different values. This graphically is very similar to what you have in your handout. And